host, Mari Riesberg. Over the past several years, I've combined my degrees in acting and somatic psychology to share my sustaining creativity techniques with performers. And now I've decided to share it with a bigger audience that includes you. I believe we are all creative, and this podcast is all about that. I'll be interviewing people from all backgrounds, ages, and creativity experiences to share just how creative we all are. Today, I'll be chatting with Vin Shambry. He's a writer, storyteller, actor, and director. Please enjoy Vin Shambry. Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. I am so excited today to chat with one of my dear friends who I haven't talked to in ages, Vin Shambry. He is a writer, storyteller, actor, and director. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh my gosh, that was an amazing introduction. No, I'm excited to be here. Are you kidding me? I'm such a fan of you.
Oh my gosh, and I am such a fan of you. We get to fan out. I love it. It's going to be so fun. Yes. Well, before we dive into the wonderful world of creativity, if you would just take a couple of minutes and let my listeners know a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Right on. Well, Vin Shambry, born and raised in Portland, Oregon. NEP, definitely Northeast Portland. I was in New York for too long, for about 10 years, and traveled the world, did international tours, did Broadway, did film, commercials, modeling, acting, and then I came home, and I think everything kind of told me who I needed to be. So yeah, that's me in a little nutshell.
I love it. I love that. Told you who you needed to be, or who you are, who you were at your core and center. I love that.
Yeah.
So beautiful. And I know, I can't believe that we're ships in the night in New York, not at the same time, but yeah, amazing.
I blame the city.
You blame the city.
That's the fault of the city. Yes.
I can get behind that. Absolutely. Yeah. For sure. Well, I'm so excited to get to chat with you about creativity because you have such a robust creative life and presence and experience. So when you think about creativity, what does it mean to you to be creative?
Well, I definitely think it's changed for me over the years. I think in this industry, being an actor and voiceovers and, like when you start out training, I think the thing is that you're training to try to get jobs. And you're like, if I get jobs and I'm being creative, people know that I am, but I'm also making money. So I'm being validated. But then I think I'm like, for so long, I was like, oh, I'm being creative, this is what it is. And like, look at me, and I think I was to a point, but I think now and being home and like, I think really what it is to be creative is to be calm within myself. And like, it's taken a long time to realize that. But I think that like within that, that's all my creativeness, is within all the pain, the success, and yeah. So I mean, I think it's and again, it's a process, it's ongoing, and it's change.
Yes, to all of those pieces. I love it. The calmness. I mean, even as you said it, I noticed like a settle into my nervous system of like, oh yeah, right. There is a calmness to being creative for me as well. Super present moment, focused. There's something so special
Mm-hmm.
and not at the same time. Like it can't be
Yes.
too special.
Yep.
And there's so much space for so much to happen.
Yep. I think for me, yes, and like it's like inviting, like once you realize your own controlled chaos, which is all the stuff you want to do, and it's like it's happening, but you're like, you know what? What do I need to do right now? Do I need to see it all passing by and then grab something, to like hold on and start to mold? So yeah, I think it's that kind of like seeing all the stuff you want to do, but understanding like one foot forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we can get really I speak for myself. I can get very caught up in like all the things flying by me and I'm like grabbing all of them and realizing,
Yeah.
oh wait, I don't actually have to do that.
Yeah.
I get to settle and feel what I'm really called to do. And I think that's kind of what you were talking about around the difference between like doing it and getting paid and that validation versus like, oh, now I have this choice and
Yep.
this creativity expression is a choice for me. So that's kind of what I was taking away from what you were
Absolutely.
saying.
Yes. And I feel like what's happening is knowing that I have this choice to do whatever I want in my creative toolbox. All the riches and all that other stuff is coming. And I think it's like that just doesn't matter to me anymore. And what matters is how I feel and what is actually coming out. And then if people like it, they like it, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I mean, what a gift to give yourself of like being okay with what you do and
Yeah.
not everyone has to approve or like or sign off on it. Like you
Yeah.
do it because you love to do it,
Mm-hmm.
not because someone is paying you. While that is nice, but
Yeah.
it's that.
I also blame the pandemic for
Oh,
that.
yeah.
I've been blaming a lot of people now. No, I think in my other life as a theater performer, I think when the whole world got fired, when the pandemic happened, I think it was like I was like, wait, what? Like I perform for people and like people cough and that's okay. And we keep moving forward. And, like there's a moment where like I want to hear someone hit this high note and I might see them spit. And that's part of it. And I was like, wait, I don't think that's going to happen for a long time. And then it started to hit like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness, like, wait, hold on, this is my life. Wait, is this my life? Is this a part of my life? Have I tried to be like, this is my identity? So I think it started to make me say, okay, Vin, settle yourself, understand what you love. Like I love being, around people and live theater, but I think it was a moment of understanding like it's not coming back for a while. The way that it usually is,
Yeah.
and how can I cope with that? How can I learn that there's a loss to that,
Yeah.
And then how do we move forward?
Absolutely. I mean, so many industries
Yeah.
experienced that and had to pivot in really creative ways
Yeah.
and I think this idea that it was creative, that they had to make a choice to be creative, I think that is really important to say because
Mhm.
so many industries don't think of themselves as being creative. And yet everyone during the pandemic had to use and flex a lot of creativity.
Yeah.
So it's something we all use all the time, whether we are aware of it or not. But
Mhm.
yeah, I love that the choosing piece and the identity piece. Oh my God, I could talk for hours about identity and
Oh my
all the
gosh.
things that we get to choose in our life and who we are and how we show up. But
Yeah.
I'm so curious. I mean, I hear that you have experienced a lot of challenges in the world of creativity,
Mhm.
but how do you face your own creative challenges?
Hmm. You know, now in my life, like I've been writing a lot and
Mm.
I've been writing a lot about my own personal journey, like as a
Mhm.
kid. And what I've been realizing now, that a lot of it now is going public, it's a lot of people they have a lot to say about it, and they have a lot to say, like, where's your mom? What's going on with you? Like, how are you? What's going on? You're shame, you're this, you're that. And I'm like, okay. And I say it because it is a challenge. It's a challenge to hear this. But also for me, I always want to say to these people, and we don't never have enough time, I'm like, but you don't know the journey of what I've done to get to this point for you to even hear it, and that in itself is a triumph. But we don't have time to talk about that because I don't know you. Right. But I think, like, that's like when you're a creative artist who is semi a public figure, like, people take your stuff and they like, this is what I feel, or this is what you're, displaying. And I'm like, yes, and, but I'm a living, breathing person still dealing with it. I just choose to use it as a artistic form to show it as a platform. Yeah. So I feel like my challenges always change, but I always use them as more like obstacles to get me through to the next content. It's like, it's not really a challenge. It's like, oh, I need to sit in this more, to understand how it's going to reveal itself.
Yeah. I love that. I need to sit in this more to see how it's going to reveal itself. Because I think so many people see challenges or obstacles as something in their way. And hearing you say, I need to sit with it, it's like, it's not in my way. It's actually informing my way.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Because of course people are like, challenges, this happens. And I'm like, no, it should inform you where you need to go. And I think a lot of times, I don't know, like, sometimes you don't need to think internally. Maybe it's a physical thing that you need to do, and your body's telling you that, not your mind. So it's just kind of like understanding your awareness at those moments of challenging moments.
Yeah. Great reminders too, to actually like pay attention to your body, to your system when it is giving you information. Because we don't pay attention to a lot of our system below our head.
Yep. I, almost brag. I actually just got a massage for the first time in like 2 years. And it was amazing. And this amazing massage therapist, she was like, when she was finished, she was like, feel your feet before you walk. And I was like, you're right. It was like a moment of like, I was like, I just get up and I'm like about to stretch and do this. And I was like, no, I need to feel my body.
Yeah.
And then know that it's there, and then wiggle my toes and then step, and it was just kind of a reminder of like, look what I got, like just my vessel alone.
Yeah. Pay attention.
Yeah.
Like on purpose.
Yes.
That's being mindful. And I love that. And I love how creativity and mindfulness really cross paths all the time, but that there's so much of each one in the other. That makes sense.
Oh yeah. Well, I like to call that like cross-pollination.
Yes, there you go.
We'll just make that up. That's creative cross-pollination.
Creative cross-pollination trademark.
That's right.
I love it. Well, as you and I have known each other for such a long time.
Yeah.
I won't tell everyone how many years, but it's,
oh my gosh,
decades.
Yeah.
What is your earliest memory of being creative?
Wow. It's funny. It's like when I don't even know if I would call it being creative, but I remember seeing everything and I'm like, oh, this is what it is to be a creative. Is I did the ballet Coppelia, and I was just like a little peasant boy. But I remember like they would tell me, like, I was a basketball player, and so I would always have this basketball, in the park, and this lady, Nancy, she would see me and I would just be like doing dancing moves and stuff. And she's like, come over here, like we're doing this thing, just run across the thing. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, grab this bag and kind of like hop. And I was like, okay, and then I saw these like huge, strong women like dance by, and she's like, this is this ballet. Would you like to be part of it? And I was like, sure. And like here I am, in this like huge auditorium with all these ballet dancers, and I'm this little peasant boy. And I was like, it was actually really fun to just be around it. I had no idea what was happening, but I felt like I needed to be there. And I feel like that was the moment I was like, oh, I like this. Yeah.
How old were you?
I was 10.
10. Oh, I love these moments, these memories that we have of being creative or experiencing creativity or finding our own creative life in early childhood. I'm super curious. I mean, I know you do a lot of acting and performing, but is there anything from your childhood that you have let go that you want to do more of as an adult?
Whoa, what? That's an amazing question. I think for me, as a daddy, I have two amazing girls. And my whole life of not having a father, I have always had this of like, I need to be constantly be present for them. They need to know that I'm there always. Even if I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just here. That is so important to me, and I just realized that like, then you are a good father. You've always been. I'm still cultivating it. I'm still asking my daughters questions, like I think that for me, it's like realizing for so long I was like, I don't need him. I don't need this. And I'm like, you know what? Like, he is where he is. I am where I am. I have an amazing family. I have a great future, And so I think it's the kind of thing of just realizing when I was younger, I was really like, no, I don't need that. And I'm like, I need all of it to kind of realize where I need to go forward.
Yeah. Oh, such a great reminder that with those challenges we have as kids, as adults, really, what is it like to embrace them instead of continue to push them aside and say, actually, this is going to support and help me be who I want to be in my children's lives and in my family. Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
So good. I love it. I love it. When you have, I mean, your community is vast, worldwide, it sounds like. How does your community impact or influence your own creativity?
Wow. Well, I think in terms of like Portland, like I think it's really important to like when you come back home, I think it's important to set fruitful roots here, because especially a place like Portland, Oregon, a lot of people are like, oh, Portland is this, Portland is Portlandia, Portland is this crazy, like, crazy stuff is happening, in the news. But I'm like, you don't know the Portland I know. You don't know the weird, beautiful, creative, energetic people who helped me when I was a child, who saw something that I didn't see. So I remember that, and I think it's important to give back to that and like keep it going, and I think for like my awesome relationships for people, like I have worked with an amazing Egyptian artist in Egypt now 3 times, and just for me, their country, talk about how how can I even describe this? Their creative box is so full,
Mm-hmm.
but they can only do it in certain places. So when you see them and
Mm-hmm.
you're in a room with them, it's like these incredible just burst of energy
Mm.
of this is who I am and this is who I've always wanted to be. And
Yeah.
you see me. And I think it's like a moment of like, that's right, I see you. And
Mm.
we all see you. Keep writing, keep going. So I think
Mm-hmm.
for me, it's like building those relationships in different countries is so important to
Mm-hmm.
realize what we have here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, I love that image of a full box of creativity that can only be shared in certain places
Yeah.
for certain people. And what a gift it is to be able to share it wherever, whenever, however you
Yeah.
want. Yeah.
Like that in itself is a privilege, you
Hmm.
know? Yeah.
Yeah. And not a privilege that many people would even think of as being a privilege.
Yeah.
But yeah, good reminders. Thank you for that.
Of
That's,
course.
yeah. When you think of like your everyday, the things that you do on your day-to-day life, what are some of the challenges or issues that you've had to use creativity to solve?
Mm. You know, I think just in general, just life now and pandemic life,
Yeah.
just like, I mean, I have to be honest, I find myself as an artist being more efficient
Mm.
because I have Zoom and
Mhm.
because I can talk to my friends in Egypt and I can talk to my friends in New York and we can
Yeah.
actually finish a meeting and get it finished and then the project actually happens. So I feel like it's in that sense, it's like, okay, like this is life. Life is weird, but we're doing it. So
Hmm.
yeah, if that answers the question in any way.
Yeah. I mean, the
Yeah.
everyday issues, we all have them. How are
Yeah.
we creatively problem solving? Or, yeah, I mean, it sounds like really that silver lining that the pandemic offered was a way for people to actually connect more efficiently and quickly and actually send creativity out into the world more frequently. Is
Yeah.
what I'm hearing? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because I have to admit, there was a time I think for me about a 6 month window where I said no to so many things that was on Zoom. I was
Hmm.
like, nope, I don't want to do that. I don't want to show you that I'm gonna perform something right now in my little booth. You
Hmm.
know, I really felt like that's not me. Like I'm way more than this box, you know?
Yeah.
And so I literally like fought against it for a while, you
Mhm.
know. And then I was like, okay, if this is my element, you know, how can I really show people if we're going to use video content, if we're going to
Yeah.
use voiceovers, you know, like how can we like work together? And yeah, so I think it's been this process of
Yeah.
realizing, well, what we got is what we got.
Right. I mean, it goes back to how do you face creative challenges of
Yep.
like sitting with it and having it help move you forward,
Yeah.
like accepting you will be on Zoom if you
Hmm.
want to continue doing this right
Hmm.
now. This is the platform. And yeah, sometimes it can be challenging to
Yeah.
get our mind around that change and letting go isn't always a bad thing. I think
Mm,
sometimes we forget that letting go of one version doesn't mean the next version will be worse. You
yeah.
know?
Yeah, because we don't know what's next. And I feel like
Yes.
that's what's scary.
It
Yeah.
is, but it's that beautiful dance of uncertainty where
Yeah.
creativity blossoms and comes alive. And we need to get comfortable with uncertainty.
That's it.
And
And
it's
lead
so
with it.
hard.
Like
Yes.
lead with it.
Ah,
Actually lead with it. Yeah.
mm.
Oh, I love that.
So I'm going to ask you a
Go.
question. How do you lead with uncertainty?
Mm. I have started to truly realize that I'm enough.
Mm,
And straight up, like
yes.
a lot of times I think, you know, when I don't know, doing a gig and like, I'm like, this is great, but I could be doing this, or I could be writing something that I've been thinking about for so long. Why aren't you doing that, Vin? You know, and now that I am, I'm like, ah, it just feels so like, why didn't I do this 10 years ago? You know,
Yeah.
why was I just trying to reach, just this small potential? And I think it's now I'm just unwrapping myself. And it's just like, it's way better.
Mm.
This is the only way I can really describe it.
Way better. I love it. As you
Way,
were
yeah.
talking, I'm saying, like, I wish I'd done this 10 years ago. Something that I have come to realize is that, creativity is the balm for regret.
Mm,
Yeah.
wow, that's it.
You
Because
know,
there's these times when I mean, I talk to some people who say they don't have creativity, and I'm
yeah.
like, oh my God, your life story is all of that.
Uh-huh.
I could see everything. I could hear the soundtrack,
Mhm.
and it's like seeing when you can instill that or just that little bit of confidence in someone to say,
Mhm.
no, 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 your stories are beautiful. And
Yeah.
maybe you don't really know how to make them come to light, but someone can.
Mhm.
I know someone can, and maybe you're a great writer, or maybe you're the actor, or you're behind the scenes. I think there's just a
Yeah.
lot of ways to show people that their lives are so important.
Absolutely. So good. So important. We are important. Our
Yeah,
stories are important. Our voices are important. And
yeah.
I'm so glad that I get to share so many voices from so many backgrounds and paths of creativity on this podcast. It's
Oh, I
so
love it.
amazing.
Cross-pollination.
Yes. Well, for someone who doesn't feel creative, how would you encourage them to find creativity in their life?
Mm. Um, Again, I think it's like I dare them to I just challenge them to say that your life events are not interesting. Come on. I know that these challenges, I know with your family or what you have to face with them and what you want to do
Yeah.
and what you've been, wanting to do your whole life or you think you have to do out of necessity.
Hmm.
Like for who? And like, what are you if you didn't have to do that?
Hmm.
And I feel like that's interesting, your back history of why you did what you did, and then the future of what you can become. So I just feel like it's like bring them to me, they're creative, bring them to you, and we can unpack how creative they are.
Yeah, I love it. So
Yeah.
really recognizing creativity is in all of us, and
Everywhere.
like being willing to uncover it, because sometimes it's pretty covered and hidden and like squashed. So
Yeah.
how can we, unpack it just a bit? I love that. Well, it has been such a treat to get to chat with you. I have one final question. What does it feel like in your body to be creative?
Hmm. I think for me, well, I know for me, is a lot of times I realize where I hold a lot of tension is in my chest.
Mm.
And over the years, being a big advocate of therapy, I realized that I held everything here and I
Mhm.
was always guarded by it.
Mhm.
And once I realized that it didn't need to be guarded,
Mm.
it just released me to be open
Mm.
and not being afraid to let it out and
Mhm.
make it more of a creative container to let it
Mhm.
out. I don't even remember what your question was, but it's just more of like,
Beautiful answer to the
yeah,
question. Yeah, I love
yeah.
it.
It's that. Like I just feel like now
Mm.
I found it, I identified where it was. I understood why I was carrying it for so long. And now I know how to release it, in a creative form.
Yeah. I love it. We could talk for hours and hours and hours, but thank you so much. If people want to learn more about the work that you do, how could they go about finding you?
Yes. First things first, please go to outdoorschoolthemovie.com. It's a beautiful feature coming out about my life. That's the first thing. And then vinshambry.com. And then Vinny_paint is my Instagram. And I am also a painter and love that too.
I love it. Nice. I will put all of that in the show notes so people can easily find it. And thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. It has been such a privilege to see your face and hear your voice and share space with you. So
thank you. This podcast matters so much. Thank you.
Thank you. I think so. Thanks for listening to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. We'd love to keep in touch, so follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are at Sustaining Creativity. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Tag your friends and family so they can listen too. We love to hear from you, so leave your reviews, comments, and questions. Check out our website, sustainingcreativity.com, for upcoming offerings and creativity coaching. Tune in Tuesdays for our next episode. And remember, with creativity, anything's possible.